Hi, everybody. This is Bill Flynn from Ecotrope. Welcome to the Ecotrope Homewise webinar. For the next half an hour or so, we'll have a special guest from Homewise, the CEO of Homewise, Mike Loftin, tell you about his experience in the last few months about his business and how he leveraged Ecotrope to help him in some of his decisions. And we'll also have a Q&A at the end. There is a note, a footer at the bottom of each slide, which gives you the information on where to send webinar questions to. We will likely not be able to answer all questions, but we'll pick a few that are representative and have the appropriate person answer them. And with that, we'll get started. Today's presenters, as I mentioned, will be Mike Loftin, the CEO of Homewise. They're doing some pretty innovative things out in New Mexico to help buyers buy homes and be able to afford them for their lifetime. Also, I'll be speaking to you, Bill Flynn, the Vice President of Ecotrope, and alongside of me, handling all technical details, is Adam Newman. And with that, I will review the agenda, which is we'll have Mike speak for about 10 or 15 minutes on his experience. We'll have a quick little advertisement from Ecotrope, which should just take a couple of minutes, and then we'll do Q&A, and the session will end at 11:30. All right, Mike, with that, I hand it over to you.
Okay, well, I've been with Homewise about 22 years now. It started back in 1986. We're a nonprofit organization, but we run like a business. Many would call us a social enterprise. We're our business model is where we're a one-stop shop for home ownership services, right? So we prepare buyers. Some people call it home buyer education or counseling. We help people find homes. We have salaried realtors that will help them find a home. We're agnostic on what home people buy. We'll help them buy any home that they can afford, and it's not a lemon. We provide mortgage financing. I think we're the only nonprofit mortgage bank in New Mexico. And then because Santa Fe has a shortage of affordable homes, we build homes here in Santa Fe. And so typically we help about 200 households buy a home. About 30 to 50 of those are buying a home that Homewise built. So we can change the slide. So, on our home ownership, on our home building line of business, we've tried to get a competitive advantage around being a more energy efficient, higher quality, durable home, but affordable. And so the energy thing has been a big selling point for us, and that it was fine because we could subsidize some of the extra energy features we did. The state of New Mexico has a sustainable building tax credit, but that's gotten oversubscribed and is evaporating, and it's, there's none available right now. So that subsidy is gone, which is probably a good thing in a way because it's made us think through how do we do this more efficiently. So we started saying, the problem is our energy features we're really good. We're doing really well. We're probably the best energy production home-wise. We're the best energy home out there. But it's getting expensive without that subsidy, and it's kind of undermining our affordability. So we had to figure out, what's the right balance there. And then it's the other thing is we've always struggled with how do you sell those energy benefits, because it's not, people don't always value them. You don't see stuff. It's not like a garden tub, it's all in the walls, a lot of energy efficiency stuff. So we'll look at the next slide. So, we were trying to figure out what do we cut out to cover that the end of the tax credit. We even said, do we just give up on trying to beat the rest of the market and just go back to the minimum required by the Model Energy Code, give up on exceeding it, because it was just that the expense was hard to justify. So next slide. So we just serendipitously, however you say that, I think Adam called us from Ecotrope and said, we got this software that helps you evaluate your energy efficiency measures and especially understand the money part of it. What does it cost you? And it was just it couldn't have been better timing because that's exactly what we were struggling with. And the way we were doing it was you look at the list of things you do, what do we take out, what adds value. Problem with that is like it's hard to analyze the real bang for the buck. So we really wanted to understand what measures, where do we get the biggest bang for the buck at the cheapest cost, and wanted to get away from that checklist, because the checklist of you're going through these different features just always it doesn't integrate things. So we wanted to, and it's just kind of a list with some cost next to it. We wanted a more objective analysis of performance, and compared to cost. So next slide. So this is what Ecotrope came up with. This is for a whole subdivision we're doing right now, but the first one we did was just one house and say, show us this, because we wanted to understand it. So they ran a house, and now we're doing this whole, and we really liked it. And now this is a subdivision that's about, I think it's 74 total units. And we want to see, okay, if we did, so the number one there, that's our current design. So you can see the HERS rating is down the vertical, and the total construction cost is along the horizontal. So, so we had a pretty low HERS rating, but it cost us a lot. And Centex, meanwhile, has a way lower HERS rating, but they're spending a lot less than we are. So that was, we wanted to compare it to what are others doing. Centex we could do that with. And we said, okay, what are other options? So all those other things, 3 through 8, are the other options of what we could do. So 8 would be the lowest HERS rating, but it's still way cheaper than what we're doing now because of the analysis of the different features that Ecotrope provided. So basically we could get to a better HERS rating with a lot less money. But the other thing that I really like about this, from having to look at the whole picture point of view, is we also have a choice of like 3. If we could say, we'll still be better than the competition, but we'll be a lot cheaper. And so then what this allows us to do is, we're way better equipped to determine what trade-off we want between affordability and energy efficiency. No right answer, but now we kind of understand our options and aren't flying blind. The thing, we do a lot of mortgage lending, and when I was looking at this the other day, I was thinking, this is kind of like what Ecotrope has done is kind of the credit score or the automatic underwriting that you have in mortgage lending for home building, right, where they integrate stuff into a score. So you can understand how things interact and measure it more accurately, because when you have all these different features, it's hard to get your arms around how they all interact and how they balance out. I think that's what I like about this, is now we can make way better decisions around where to put our money. So that's basically where we're at. And as you see in this thing, this is going to be, for this subdivision, 74 units, we're talking, $500,000 in savings on energy stuff, and still have really good, energy performance. So that's kind of what I have to say.
Great, thanks, Mike. I actually have one question before I jump into mine. Is there, obviously you and Greg and Rob went through a pretty long process of thinking through what you needed to do and obviously plan far ahead. Is there anything you've learned from that process that you would give as advice to other folks who may be sort of thinking the same thing, or maybe even not at this point, but in the future may run into something like this?
I'd say, I think part of it is, I think everyone knows this, right? Everyone pays attention to their costs. And I think I think a lot of home builders out there have just do enough to be able to claim you're good enough energy-wise. Like a lot of the other builders out there, that's just be good enough. And I think, and we were looking at that option. Maybe we're being stupid to try to do more. I think it has given us an edge on the energy efficiency. We're not because you know what I'd say the a big lesson is it's not, the consumer doesn't get all hyper about all this detail of energy efficiency. They don't, really, they're not into the technical stuff. What they want to know is it going to be, is it cost effective, is it efficient? But I think, but when you can talk about what you do extra for energy efficiency, what it really communicates is you're paying attention to the detail. You're building a really good house, right? So that's, I think it's a symbol of quality and durability and stuff that people really like, that you're paying attention to those details. Now, looking at this thing, what the next step we're going to do with Ecotrope is, I don't know if we've talked about this yet, guys, but what I want to do is okay, now let's take this kind of data and figure out how do we turn that into a marketing thing where we can communicate the benefits more effectively to the consumer. Because part of the problem we have is that we love the technical stuff, and so we like to talk about it. Consumers don't necessarily like it. That's not what they're enamored with. They want to, they want to know the result. And so, what we need to do is take this kind of thing and be able to present it in a way. Here's what we're doing. Here's the detail we're paying attention. This is why you get a better house. I think it's going to help us not only save money in our construction, I think it's going to help us sell more homes.
Exactly, and not to have a private conversation with lots of people in too much detail, but we're absolutely doing that. Just to round it out, and Mike, I think you can confirm this. What we're doing with Homewise, which we are in the first step of doing of a three-step process, is obviously this is sharing information based upon their own data and their own plan, so they can see what is available to them and they can make choices, feeling comfortable that they've at least seen everything that's possible as of that point in time. The next phase is to figure out then how to turn this into something that salespeople and marketing people can use, some sort of graphical representation of this, so it's easy to understand. Back to your credit score metaphor, the credit score works well because people see a number and think, okay, I'm a 600 and whatever, so I'm pretty good, but could be better. Same thing here. We'll represent something graphically to a homeowner and a salesperson who can easily show some representation of that. So that's our next step. And then also the third step is there are upgrades that can be offered from an energy perspective, and we'll work those through as well. As what are the kinds of upgrades that we can offer to a homeowner that they can see the actual payback and feel comfortable that this is well worth the extra money for being even more energy efficient, maybe adding PV or something else, beyond standard upgrades of a fourth bedroom or some other bonus room, that type of thing. So that's sort of the holistic view of the plan. All right, so I'll take things back, Mike. Thank you very much. That's terrific. To let everyone know again, or remind you that you can send questions to Mike and or to me by sending an email to info@ecotrope.com, and we will get those and sort through them, and at the end, if we have any, or we have some good representative ones, we'll make sure that we answer them for you. So let me tell you, for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do, I apologize that I'm repeating myself, but you can get a better understanding of sort of where we came from as a company and why we do this. It's actually a pretty interesting story. Our background is one that is sort of from the educational perspective. A number of the folks that work here at Ecotrope are from MIT. One of the co-founders, Ed Crowley, used to be the head of the aeronautics department at MIT, and he created some technology, an algorithm, if you will, when asked by the Bush administration to help us figure out how to get to Mars and back as cost-effectively and efficiently as possible. And he did some very fancy stuff, which basically you can boil down to sort of systems analysis, if you will, looking at all the different components of the mission and seeing how each component impacted the whole, but how a change in any one component affected any of the other components as well, which translates very well into a home. A home obviously is one envelope, which is one system made up of multiple components: windows, walls, insulation, HVAC, etc., fuel, zip code, all those things that impact the cost of running the home and the cost of building the home. So we all basically started here about 3 to 3.5 years ago, when he applied this to his own home in Idaho, where he was only going to be there a short amount of time because it was a vacation home. He didn't want to spend a lot of money on energy. He wanted to be kind to the environment, but he didn't want to spend an arm and a leg. So he leveraged his technology, and that's how Ecotrope was born. Since then, we have wrapped some software around it. It's a web-based tool, so it's a cloud-based solution for the builder. It's provided as a service today by us, but also can be translated to a product, and we can train the user and they can do it on their own if they wish. Along the way of building that, we have become an accredited HERS rating software. We are also ENERGY STAR compliant, and we are 2006, 2009, and 2012 IECC performance certified, and actually we just added 2015 recently as well, so we can get sort of a head start on those areas of the country that are coming up on 2015. Let's give you a little bit of background. We work with all sorts of builders, large and small. If you will, small to us is 25 homes a year or greater, give or take, all the way up to the top builders in the country and everything in between. You can see some of the names here that some of you may recognize, and some may be much more regional. But to give you a sort of a sense of how our technology has been used, it's extremely powerful and extremely flexible, which is sort of a good and a bad, right? There's lots of ways you can use it. But let me give you 3 examples that I think that people have used it that really resonate with folks. And I think the first is really what Mike has talked about. We like to sort of boil it down to we have builders who are trying to find that sweet spot, as we call it, that combines cost of building the home, performance of the home itself, so obviously the operating cost from that perspective, that could be a HERS rating or energy bill, and velocity or absorption rate are the terms that a number of builders use. So builders want to build homes and sell them as fast as they can, for production builders especially. So that kind of encompasses most of the folks that we work with, but Homewise definitely is looking at that, as are a number of others that are here. The second way that people are looking at us is when code changes or upcoming code is going to change, and it's going to have an impact. And as many builders on the line know, every time energy code changes, it's getting more and more stringent. There are more and more costs that are being added to you in order to meet the minimums of these codes. And some of the builders we work with do percentages over the minimum as well. And they don't want to really spend more than they need to, and they want to plan ahead. So they use us as a way to sort of review their plans, their portfolios of plans, or a particular community that they're building next that falls outside of the current code, and they need to plan for future code. They can leverage our technology to help them with that as well. And folks like Summerhill Homes out in California doing that. They have Title 24 out in California, which is a little bit different than others, so we've leveraged that with them. And then people like Beazer, Sunwood, and Drees, which isn't on here, they like to look at our technology because they want to make sure that they do a couple of things. They want to make sure that they're not spending $1 more than they need to achieve the highest performing home or community of homes that they can based on their specific business goals and objectives. Ecotrope is not a recommendation engine. We do not in any way propose to tell you how to run your business. Each company has its own particular way of positioning themselves. Some are sort of lower cost home, just sort of starter homes. Some are higher performing homes. Some focus on energy. Some focus on fit and finish. Those particulars are the things that we want to take full understanding of from our builders, so when we work with them, we provide the best possible set of options. So the set of options that we provide to Mike here in that scatter chart may be different than something we would present to Beazer, or clearly to someone like a Habitat, or another builder, a small regional builder like Sunwood out in Connecticut. And the other way that these kind of folks are looking for us is we hear a lot of these sort of mid-project Band-Aids. We thought we were making code, but we didn't. Or we thought we were going to achieve a certain HERS score to get an incentive, but we missed it. So we had to rip out walls or change things or go through and spend extra money. Because we virtually build every home on behalf of the builder in the zip code that they have, with all of that information that I told you before in terms of geometry and the components and mechanicals and other things that they provide, we can give you a preview into something before you ever even purchase land in some cases, and certainly before you go vertical. So that's the bulk of the webinar itself. Here's the contact information, which I will leave up on the screen for you. Mike has generously offered his email and phone number if you'd like to reach out to him directly, and he can tell you in more detail what he's doing. You have myself, Bill at Ecotrope, and then Adam's information there as well.